So this is an MDF panel that I purchased at Home Depot. I've covered it with Encaustic gesso, which really, if you want to know the truth, is milk paint. I like to back my paintings with a light color. I believe it provides a little more luminosity. What I've got set up here is, here's my pancake griddle with all of my colors, and I've got one brush that I'm working with in this process, and I'm hoping that this will work as an over the shoulder shot. We'll just go from here. So the panel's been painted with gesso. The reason that you want to do that is because you want something that's absorbent but has enough tooth so that the wax will stick to the board. And then what I'm going to do is just cover this with white wax. This is for this particular project. The whole thing is based in white wax. And I'm just going to do this I did try pouring just a puddle of wax to get it on there, and I discovered that did not give me good coverage. I ended up with bare spots on the board. So what I've got here is my biggest brush, my widest brush, and I'm putting on a layer of wax with the brush because that makes the wax consistently covering the board. Oh, this is going to be gorgeous. All right, I'm going to speed this up. Make sure I get all the corners and the edges. All right, now that's, down there, and I know that you can't see that there's a lot of, you can see all the brush strokes, there's a lot of texture. That's just part of the wax. And so what we do at this point is we're going to fuse the wax, and I'm going to go at this pretty hard. I'm going to fuse the wax, melt it down so that it's literally liquid, and get it to absorb into the wood. And as it turns liquid, a couple of things happen. First of all, it gets really shiny. Once I get the whole board liquid, all of the wax becomes level, which is a gorgeous finish. But it also blows up any air bubbles, things of that nature. My point here is to get this board as liquid as I can, and then I'll put down another layer of white wax. Okay, I can see some spots that are, I see thin spots that I need to fix, and so I will put another coat of white wax on this. Alright, so we're going to do the second coat of white wax on this panel. Now, there are some thin spots that I can see here and here, a couple over here. And basically what I'm going to do though is I will do the same thing that I did the first time, and I will just coat the entire panel with the white wax, because what I'm trying to do is build up, I really want to build up a nice thick layer of white, because that's what's going to create some of the blending that happens later. So again, I will speed this part of the video up. I'm just scraping the excess wax off of it builds up at the top of the paintbrush. And you just occasionally scrape it down, throw it back in the pot, and it melts. It's one of the things that I really enjoy about this medium. I actually have a can of wax here. I don't know if it'll be on camera, but this can of wax right here is scrapings from other projects that I just melt together and see what color I end up with, and I get a lot of fun stuff that way. Alright, so once again I am going to fuse this layer of wax to the other layer of wax. So I'm checking for thin spots or spots that are still thin. I find that if I add the liquid wax to the layer that is in that fused state, sometimes I can get those bare spots covered really, really well. And they don't keep coming up there. Okay. This is gorgeous. Alright, I'm going to let this cool down. When I fuse that hard, everything, it stays kind of molten and it's hot. And so it stays kind of molten for a couple of minutes. I'm going to let this cool down, and then we'll go on to we'll start putting some colors in and doing some blending. So that'll be, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording. I'll come back. Okay, so I have here, I actually have 3 layers of white wax. I threw down another layer real quick. 3 layers of white wax very thickly on the board. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to start throwing in some colors. Now, I am working specifically towards having more neutral colored projects on my website. And so that's where this whole process came out of, was my attempt to mute down some of what I was doing. Anyway, what I've got here is, I think this is a little brown, a little orange, it's just some stuff. Basically, I'm just putting a little beige in here. I just want to get some spots of color. Get all that up. And I might have to make more of that. I've got something else over here, which is going to be a little bit more brown. So I want to be really kind of careful with that. The really brown stuff, the darker the color, the farther it's going to go in this process. So, and this stuff that I'm using to change colors, here's the thing. When you're painting in wax, it's not the same thing as, it's different. Everything about it is different. Natural bristle brushes so that they don't melt in the heat. And when you get a solid color on your, you know, when your brush is loaded with solid color, you've got to be able to get it out. So what I've got over here is something called slick wax. It's one of the very few R&F products that I use, but I do like their slick wax because I can get the color out of the brush very quickly and then switch colors. Now this is going to be kind of purple and blue, and I really need to be done with some of this color, but I did want to put some pink in that. So let's see if I just dip that in there really quickly. And see, that's what happens if you don't get the old color out. So that's going to show up kind of. Okay, so let me go ahead and get that cleaned off. Now, when I was fusing the white down, I at one point I said I'm going to go at this kind of hard. And what I meant by that is that I was really going for a lot of heat, a lot of liquidization of the wax. What I'm going to be doing with these spots, because you still have to fuse, but I'm going to do this with a much lighter touch so that I kind of control more of what happens. To fuse one layer of wax to the other, you basically have to get a shiny color, or the wax goes from kind of a dull to a very shiny finish. You can see it when you're blowing it. So I'm going to get to that point, and then I'm going to kind of literally with the fan on the hot gun, I'm going to kind of blow it around and dig up some of the color from underneath. And you'll see it just marbleizes in this really exquisite way. But it works out a lot slower. Now that's starting to melt. And I'm going to back off of it a little bit. As soon as it starts getting liquidy, I don't want to melt too much. I just want it to mix into the surface of the pink or the white that's there. And I'm going to blow into that. See, and that just spread out beautifully. And so what this will do, this gives me an opportunity. This is where the creativity, well, picking the colors, but this is where the creativity turns really into, like, what happens if we blow over here? That's a pretty marbleization. Let's move on to this color. And I will do this. I will add more white. I will mix more colors in. I don't want to go too far down into the layer. I want to use just the top layer of the white. But that's kind of why I put so much of that top layer down. Because I want to be able to dig some of it up. So you can see that is really moving around.